Hi everyone, I'm Raksha and I like to bullet journal and find ways to work smarter, be more mindful and to have fun. If those are things you're interested in, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. My 2022 bullet journal setup is going to be simple and minimal, and there are 20 different spreads to help you start thinking about what you want in your own bullet journal. If you haven't chosen a notebook yet, I'm an affiliate for a few different journal brands, so check out the description box for 10 to 15% off your purchases. Starting with my year at a glance page, similar to last year, I used my 2022 calendar stencil to draw out calendar boxes for each month. I like the hand-drawn look over stickers and stamps, and this stencil just makes the process quicker and easier. You don't have to look up when a month starts and ends, and then measure out all the boxes to eventually realise that you messed it all up. I also use this stencil for other annual trackers, which you'll see shortly, and throughout the year for monthly setups like habit trackers or random calendars on cover pages and weekly spreads. These stencils are up on Etsy. Last year they sold really fast, so be sure to grab yours as soon as you can if you want one. The link is in the description box below. My other go-to bullet journal stencils are listed on Etsy as well, which I use for all of my setups, along with some Reflect with Raksha mindfulness candles that I use every time I sit down to start journaling. I often go for black and white setups for my New Year spreads, but this year I felt like adding a pop of colour. So I opted for 3 neutral colours to highlight certain parts of my spreads. This year at a glance page might seem a little bit tedious to set up, but it's always so useful. I find myself flipping back to it every month when I'm setting up my bullet journal. Next, I have a quote to start my 2022 journal with. I used the non-brush side of a black Tombow marker to draw a border around the page. I then used my grid spacing ruler to quickly find the middle of the page so I can make sure the quote is in the middle. The quote I'm writing up is simple and straightforward. Dear 2022, I am ready. Something about it makes me feel ready for anything to come. When you want to create minimal pages that look good, it's important to think about spacing, making sure that things are balanced on the page, symmetrical, and that you've thought about where to leave white space on your page. I added my tiny pop of colour to the sides of the page. Next, I have my future log where I'll record events and tasks by month at the beginning of the year and then as and when they come up. I divided the page into thirds using my grid spacing ruler, leaving a bit of white space on either side of the page and at the top and bottom. I have a whole video explaining how to use the grid spacing ruler to set up spreads quickly, so I won't go into that here. I'll leave a link in the cards and the description. Keeping my future log really simple, I'm just writing up the months in each section, 6 months on each double page spread. Next, I'm dedicating a couple of pages to reflection. Using the grid spacing ruler, I drew up 3 rows and 2 columns. I drew these faintly in pencil and then within them drew 6 boxes in pen, leaving a row of white space all around the boxes. For this spread, I thought about triumphs of 2021, which are things that went well, that I enjoyed, learned or accomplished. Refinements are the things that I want to make improvements to. Things to keep, like the quality time I've had with my family and balance. Things to introduce. Towards the end of the year, I got involved in a hackathon designing badges for a crypto company, which made me think I want to get involved in all sorts of different projects next year. Things to let go of, like the need to know where I'm going, explaining myself, or stress-inducing relationships. And things to learn. I have some creative software that I want to learn how to use and some new recipes. The next page is exactly the same layout and is for 2021 favourites. This one I'm going to fill out at the end of the year. Next up, I have a spread for my goals. Using my grid spacing ruler, I divided the page up into halves. A tip for creating neat and tidy minimal spreads is to draw borders in pencil where you want to write your text. This helps you write letters that are the same size, which makes the spread look a lot cleaner. I used the Tombow marker to draw up the lines to be able to separate my goals into categories. There's goals for myself, goals for my health, a section for my kids, and a section for financial goals. At the bottom, I'm encouraging myself to think about what I want things to look like in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years to help find a bit of focus in 2022. Before committing goals to paper, I like to brainstorm my thoughts for each area and think about them over the Christmas break, so I jotted down my goals on some post-it notes for now. I'll eventually turn these goals into actionable steps for the year. I've shared my full goal setting process in another video which I'll link for you in the description. Over on the next page, I divided the page into 3 columns and 2 rows, again with the intention of drawing up 6 boxes. This is to outline a cleaning routine for the new year and the things that I'll commit to doing to maintain a clean and organised home. I drew the boxes up with a Sakura fine liner for the bottom and sides, and then I drew the tops of the boxes with the Tombow marker, so it's a slightly thicker line. Using lines of different thickness is another way to add to your spreads in a simple and minimal way. In my cleaning routine, I have daily commitments, things like making sure the dining room is tidied every day after breakfast before we all head out for school runs. Monthly commitments like getting rid of any paperwork and cleaning the shelving units, weekly commitments, and ad hoc activities around the house. The next page is dedicated to boundaries. Boundaries help us take care of our needs, manage our time, and maintain positive relationships. You can have time boundaries, personal boundaries, relationship boundaries, emotional boundaries. On my list, I have things like limit the evenings to calm and passive activities. I want boundaries around my sleep and wake times. I want to feel okay with saying no. Maintain a healthy distance from people or events that induce stress and anxiety for me or my family. Don't reach for a phone just out of boredom. And eat in 90% of the time. I also listed some phrases that can help set boundaries, like, let's discuss this later, or we won't be able to make it, but I'm looking forward to seeing you on, or I'll let you know. This is to help avoid being pressurized into making decisions immediately when you haven't had the chance to think about it. For the next spread, I marked off the centre using my grid spacing ruler and drew lines above and below. This spread is called Fall in Love with Life. For this, I'm just going to list anything that makes me love life more, and it can help you fall back in love with life when you need to. Thinking about the simple things that just feel so good, like lying in the garden sun on a warm day, dreaming freely, going for scenic walks, reading a chapter of a book before the world wakes up, or things that ignite passion, like learning a new skill, working on something that makes you feel proud, interactions with people that feel uplifting, quality time. Even just making this list makes you fall in love with life again. Next is a less more list. I divided the page into half and used the Tombow marker to draw a line between the 2 sides, followed by a thin line with a fine liner. On the left, we have things like less junk food, less procrastinating, doubting, overthinking, and less autopilot mode. On the right, I have the more list with things like more doing, believing, kindness, patience, fun, good habits. If you're still watching at this point, what would you like to do more or less of in 2022? It's a great question to think about. Next up, trackers. starting with my wellness tracker, which is where I track all of my exercise. I prefer calling it a wellness tracker rather than workout because most of the exercise I do is for general wellness and to have the fitness and strength to fully enjoy my life. So this is a good reminder of why I'm doing it. For this, I use my calendar stencil again, and I'll colour in my wellness activities throughout the year, so I can see a full overview at the end of the year on one page. Next, I'm dividing the page into 3 rows. This is the easiest setup you can possibly do with just a header, 2 lines and 3 highlights. This list is for things to watch, read and listen to. So whenever I come across things I want to check out, they go on here. The next spread is to track TV shows I watch throughout the year. Again, a super simple layout with just 2 columns, one to list the show and the other to list the platform. With TV platforms, I fluctuate between Netflix, Amazon Instant Video and Disney Plus throughout the year, and at some points no TV streaming service at all. I find I can be much more intentional with TV if I do it this way, and seeing which platforms are being used or not used as much can be really helpful information for that too. I have exactly the same layout for films watched and books read. I used my 3 colours to highlight the rows in these spreads and left white space on the sides to make it more aesthetically pleasing. Now we're on to finances. I found the middle of the page with my grid spacing ruler and drew up a section in the middle for my title. This spread is a monthly spend review by category. I drew up a table with 4 columns and 6 rows. This will be to write down the total spend in each category in January, February and March. My banking app has been tracking this for me for the last few months, so I decided on the categories that I'll track by looking at that, so it's based on what we usually spend our money on every month outside of bills. This will help me see if, as a family, we're sticking to some of the budgets that we set at the beginning of the year, and to clearly see how the months differ. There's a table for each quarter of the year, so all 12 months are on this double-page spread. Writing these numbers in every month and seeing the whole year on one spread will really help stay closer to it. And I just realised I forgot to include holidays in here, so I'll have to figure something out for that. A couple more finance spreads here using another simple layout. A border with the Tombow marker and highlighted rows in my 3 colours. For this one, at the end of each month, I want to write down the numbers for my savings, stocks and shares ISA, crypto, pensions, business account and personal account. Then I can see whether they're moving and by how much. A related quote I chose to write up at the bottom is, "Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving." The next spread is dedicated to crypto. I've started learning about crypto this year and blockchain, and there's so much more to learn and keep track of. There are new blockchain projects all the time, and I'd like to jot down ones that I want to research more and ones that I believe in. For example, there's a decentralized video streaming network being built right now, which I'm really interested in. I've got sections on here for my crypto wish list, sources of knowledge like sites or channels that I find helpful for learning, a list of my own crypto and my wallets because you need a lot of different wallets. The quote at the bottom is, "Blockchain is as significant now as the internet was 25 years ago." Now for my closing pages for this setup. For this, I found the middle of the page and drew up a section for my About Me title, splitting the page into halves. This one is going to be my About Me spread. The idea of this is to write down some notes about yourself and compare it year on year. Now for my final spread, and it's a reminder that I want to keep coming back to so I don't forget. In 2022, I need to be smarter, better, faster. Nope, I need to be myself. We're finally at the end. I love hearing if you made it to the end, so drop me a comment to let me know. If you enjoyed this video, check out my blog and sign up to my weekly newsletter where I share thoughts, theories and ideas related to mindful productivity. Links are in the description box below. I hope you got some ideas from this and it helped you get ready for a mindful and productive year ahead. Tag me on Instagram if you recreate any spreads, I'd love to see them. Thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.